thoughts, opinions, and general overall shades thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck and Rico Lamitte, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Yeah.
I love the dancing mushroom.
Yes. Good morning, everybody. Did we transition yet? I'm not seeing it. Oh, there we go. Now I see it. Yeah, gonna need a couple adjustments, but nonetheless, good morning, everybody. Yes, that's right. It is Wednesday, May 22nd, and today is National Craft Distillery Day. National Solitaire Day for all you people that like to sit alone by yourself. It's also National Buy a Musical Instrument Day, because we know everyone in this economy has a lot of disposable income for all those expensive instruments. National Maritime Day. Emergency Medical Services for Children Day, Rico. And Rico, you'll never guess what else it is today. You're never going to guess.
What's that?
Today is also National Vanilla Pudding Day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, shout out to vanilla pudding. Yeah, vanilla pudding, yes. Thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above on your screen to see exactly where we live on the internet. We are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and on our very own website at www.highat9news.com. But kicking it off first, that's right, we have the dope dad himself, Mr. Rico Lamitte, the Quasimodo caretaker. Yes, and his green screen is working today, and he's got a new hat, so you know he's having a bad hair day. That's right, it is the dope dad himself, Mr. Rico Lamitte.
Thank you, Jason. I very seldom have bad hair days, even though you like to say that over and over.
Hey, you know,
true.
I speak truth. I spit truth.
Not the steel thing, whatever. But my story today is coming out of the place. This echo is killing me.
You're good. I don't hear echo from you at all.
Oh, good. All right, so my story is coming out of the place where they call Jason Beck White Gucci.
That's right, Detroit, Michigan.
America's last bastion of Midwestern hope. The Big D, Detroit. All right, so it's good news too. So when NFL Hall of Fame wide receiver Calvin Megatron Johnson retired from the Detroit Lions back in 2016, opposing defenses sighed a major breath of relief. Nicknamed Megatron because his rare size and the athletic abilities he possessed, 6'5", 240 pounds, ran a 4.3 40-yard dash. They're all unprecedented for his position, but chronic injuries and failure to reach a fair deal with the team he sacrificed 9 seasons for ultimately ended his career sooner than anybody thought that it would have ended. Being such a large defensive target on the field of violence meant he took a lot of big hits from men similar and larger than himself. In fact, he played until 30 years old, meaning a lot of those hits and injuries would follow him in his retirement. Not unlike many other former athletes, Johnson chose to put the locker room favorite opioids aside and replace them with cannabis to heal past wounds. He did a ton of research, linked up with a couple of former teammates, with similar mindsets and entrepreneurial spirits, and decided to put the millions dollars that they made in the field designed to destroy into a business rooted in plant medicine. Fast forward to today, Johnson's been given the unique opportunity to return his talents to another pro sports team's field and Detroit favorite franchise, the Tigers, in baseball. Green Market reports Destin Walsh reported that the Weberville-based cannabis company Primitive, the company Johnson co-founded with Rob Sims, former Detroit Lions offensive guard, has inked 2 marketing deals recently with Ford Field and Detroit Tigers, with plans to make their Primitive Performance CBD topical cream products in the same lexicon with other locker room products like BioFreeze and Body Armor Sports Drink. Johnson said, rubbing his knees, that he always used lots of topicals in the locker room. There was never this healing component. So he actually suffered ACL sprains, pulls during his football career, and a lot of stuff that lingered into post-playing time. And he said that athletes want this stuff, but they also don't want to get popped on drug tests. So we saw an opportunity to create a new product, a new application with the perfect alternative to what's in the locker rooms now. Johnson and Sims founded Primitive to capitalize on Michigan's burgeoning cannabis industry, as both turned to marijuana to treat aches and pains for their playing careers as alternative to prescription opioids. Primitive opened a modest 4,000 square foot cultivation facility in Weberville in 2019 and followed with a dispensary in Niles, about 5 miles north of the Indiana border. In May 2022, the group also operates a single dispensary in Massachusetts. While Primitive inked the deal with Ford Field in March, it still needed a scientific stamp of approval to penetrate the big leagues. For more than 12 months, the company worked to get its CBD topical transdermal creams certified for sport by Ann Arbor-based product testing organization NSF International. NSF was spun out by the University of Michigan, go Blue, School of Public Health 80 years ago, tests and certifies supplements for professional sports leagues. Primitive received its NSF certification on April 15th and announced its partnership with the Detroit Tigers on May 3rd. Its topical cream contains 1,500 milligrams of minor cannabinoids, compounds found in cannabis that often have therapeutic uses but don't get the user high, obviously CBD, right? And are used to fight inflammation and other common pains for sports. Tigers players can use the product without the threat of failing a drug test. Big shout out to the MLB on that one. They're the first movers in major leagues and seeing this thing go through. Johnson said upwards of 10 teams, including local professional sports teams, have reached out since the Tigers' announcement about potential partnerships and products in their locker rooms too. The Major League deals are not lucrative up front for Primitive, which by many standards in Michigan's cannabis industry is small with just 80 employees. The state's largest cannabis operator, Loom Cannabis Company, which Crane Communications CEO Casey Crane is an investor, has roughly 1,000 employees. The deals to get Primitive's cream into the locker room are in fact marketing deals, pay to play. Primitive pays to get its name on the digital signage throughout Comerica Park, and ads run onto TVs in the concourse and in the suites for a total of 15 minutes throughout the game. Shame we couldn't get this deal done before the NFL Combine. That would have been huge. But I think it's a big step forward for cannabis and sports medicine and a major business win for the Primitive team. Though I never got the chance to play with him on the field, I did get to work with Calvin and Rob while producing virtual cannabis events during the COVID lockdowns. Big shout out to Tammy Pettigrew, the Cannabis Cutie, for connecting us on that one. It was huge. The more former superstars, not just the players, but superstars like Calvin Johnson, he's a Hall of Famer, feared by everybody on the field. Guys like that, Ricky Williams, are really coming out, speaking out, and supporting the cannabis industry, and getting deals like this done are a major mover for destigmatization, and especially on when it comes to athletes. Your career is short, injuries last your entire life. And it really sucks. So the more that they normalize this, and the more deals we have that go through like this, we got nothing but love for it. Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street for High 9 News. I'd like to hear from you guys. What y'all think about this one?
Man, Rico, you're right, bro. They should have signed this a while ago. They should have signed this deal a while ago.
Like a month ago, if they did it before the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Sick.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I mean, so they're just basically coming out with a hemp cannabis cream. Am I correct on this? Like, it's not an actual real weed product. It's like one of those hemp products.
Yeah, the CBD is like their marketing play.
Yeah.
You know, to get the name out there.
So it's not really like they're going to have weed in the locker room.
Not yet.
Yeah, just want to just make sure that's being stated clear, because the MLB has
not to say, allegedly that weed is not in the locker room already, and cats are not already smoking weed in the locker rooms. We're past the statute of limitations, and I'm kind of on the shit list of my college team. I smoked a lot of weed in my locker room.
Yeah, but that's football. That's football though. We're talking about baseball, right?
Oh, baseball! They chew tobacco on the field, man.
Yeah, but baseball is not as much of a endurance-based sport as football is.
Are you serious? Dude, they have like 1 million games every year.
Just because they have 1 million games, they stand around in a field.
Yeah, not everybody. Outfielders, they do a lot of fucking.
Yeah, they get a little bit of running in here and there, but that's nothing like the running that basketball players do.
Everybody talks about well, here's the thing. In Major League Baseball, when you have like 200 games in the season. Right, that shit takes its toll, man.
You know who it takes the toll on? You know who takes a toll on in baseball, Rico? Who it takes the toll on?
A marathon.
The most active.
Like 10, 12,
Jenny.
Minute mile pace, but you are fucking dead at the end of that.
The most active
Rico,
player in the most active player, Rico, in a baseball game is the pitcher and the catcher. Okay.
No,
when we get back stateside, we're going to take Jason to run the bases.
Oh, I'll run those. I'll run bases all around you guys all day. I'll just be hitting grand slams. I'll just be hitting grand slams, and I'll just do walking the bases for you guys to show you how fast I can move.
This is weed strain called delusional.
You see how ripped those guys are up close in person? Like, they are no slouches, man.
I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to say that they're slouches. I'm not trying to say that these guys are professional athletes. 100%. I'm not trying to discount it. I'm just saying in the greater scheme of it all,
It's easy to say when you don't actually play. And
I played football. I played football. I can say this.
I think what the real travesty is these $24 beers at the baseball games. That's the real news story today. We gotta end this.
But don't they have like dollar hot dogs?
At EDC?
Dude, dollar hot dogs, but the beer is still $24 for a 20. It's like
the beer is subsidizing the hot dogs.
That's capitalism.
Yeah, the beer is subsidizing.
CBD. I think it's about time we got CBD off the "it can't come out of my mouth" list. Let's stop that nonsense, because it's out there, it's legal. Let's move it into the acceptable quality here, so that all athletes at all levels, whether you're a backyard athlete or a professional athlete, you can rub the stuff on your knees and your back and your shoulder. Mm-hmm. Not be thought to be some sort of an immoral character out there.
Well, the reality is you don't even need to worry. If you're just using topicals, that's not going to break the blood-brain barrier, so you don't really have to concern yourself. If you're a 21-year-old adult and you live in a state that has adult-use cannabis laws, then you can go purchase topicals for yourself, and you will not pop hot for THC.
Hold on. Are you telling me, Saman, that baseball stadiums across the country are about to be selling CBD infused wieners?
I'm saying that that would probably justify the cost. That would probably justify the cost.
Okay. Put a little disty on it.
Yeah, a little.
Does the price go down? Does the price go down if they had CBD? Mm-hmm. That's the real question. Because CBD beer sounds fine to me. Lower that price.
And we have Jenny Beth Dills joining us from Medellin, Colombia today, and she's been biting her tongue. What do you have to say, Jenny Beth?
Oh, nothing. I just think, it should be able to be ingested as well, especially for football players, because of the neuroprotective properties of cannabis. And so I think that we need to kind of get over it. If your grandma can take CBD for her hip pain, athletes who are getting slammed all day, every day for your TV entertainment should be able to take it as a neuroprotectant.
So basically, by your justification, what you're saying is that CBD should be sponsoring OnlyFans, since you're talking about people getting slammed, right?
Yo!
CBD has been sponsoring OnlyFans.
Mm-hmm.
Just so you know.
Shout out to the Pretty Peach, the lubes and stuff.
Yeah, shout out to Vanilla Pudding, I guess.
That's enough.
Mm-hmm.
Little hemp for your,
Yeah.
God.
Yes.
I knew when you brought up wieners, it was going to go bad.
Yeah.
Jason, are you the new spokesperson for vanilla pudding? You're like the white Bill Cosby now.
Oh no! Whoa! With all that. But on that, Saman, we're gonna roll into a commercial and we're gonna be right back.
Oh man, that was weird. Hey, you America. Do I look like Sean Connery? Good morning, America. Saman Razani coming to you live from sunny Los Angeles, California with the one and only highest host, Mr. Jason Beck, smoking on the best weed in the world. Did you know that we have an audio-only version of our podcast? You can find it on Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. No excuses in 2024. If you haven't checked us out, check it out now. And also, check out what the Prophet's doing in 2024.
All right, and we are back.
What about now,
guys? Oh, bro, a million times better now. A million times better, Rico.
We good?
Yeah, a million times better. And we're back, you guys. We're back. Rico,
I can't hear anything on my end, but
I hear you. I hear you perfect, Rico.
Jason, can you hear us?
broadcasting live out of Long Beach, California.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Man, they know in Detroit as White Gucci. Down in Florida, they call him Gucci Blanco. Out here, we know him as the industry's very own Kaiser Brose. The man, the myth, the legend, the best weed in the world. And here to represent a unified right.
That's right. Unified right.
Beck.
That's right, because the right has unified. That is true, bro. Very, very true. Very true. But let me tell you guys, oh man, I have a story for you guys today. This is a little bit long, so I apologize.
J-Dog.
But nonetheless, yes, what's up, Saman? Okay. All right.
Jay, we can't hear you.
I hear myself. So, a farm bill battle is pitting hemp against
All right, Rico.
its closest cousin,
Go right into the next
marijuana.
story.
You guys can't hear me? That doesn't make sense.
I can't.
I hear you.
I can hear you.
Everybody hears. Saman, you're missing out, Saman. You're missing out. I don't know what to tell you. The fight centers on intoxicating hemp products, which have developed into a multi-billion-dollar industry subject to few rules and regulations. Some marijuana companies and trade groups are pushing Congress to close a loophole that allows the production and sale of intoxicating substances derived from legal hemp. The hemp industry has a very different ask for lawmakers. Leave the federal definition of hemp unchanged, they say. In a quote, this will probably be one of the more interesting debates and discussions in the Farm Bill. In a quote, House Agriculture Chair G.T. Thompson, Republican from Pennsylvania, told Politico earlier this month. It's the culmination of similar fights happening in state houses around the country as the nation tries to navigate a completely new industry rife with legal complexities created by distinctly different federal laws for marijuana and hemp. The loophole originated in 2018 when the last farm bill that President Trump signed legalized hemp or cannabis with less than 0.3 THC percentage. The principal psychoactive component of the plant and cannabis with more than 0.3% THC, meanwhile, is considered marijuana and remains federally illegal. Many lawmakers who backed hemp legalization 6 years ago did not realize they were approving an intoxicating substance. In a quote, I supported the last farm bill, and I was okay with hemp being used for industrial use and things like that, said Representative Doug LaMoffa, a Republican lawmaker from Northern California. And let me just add that he is a major prohibitionist who speaks out regularly about the impact of illicit cannabis cultivation has on his district. And this is also the same guy that did the whole thing with he did the prop with the bulldozer that we covered here on High at 9 News when he was bulldozing an illegal grow. And in a quote says, I watched what happened after that, and a whole bunch of people got, I think, kind of hornswoggled. Hornswoggled. That's a Daleism right there, Dale. Isn't that a Daleism? You're gonna have to use that in a sentence now, Dale. Capitol Hill is not first to this debate, though. Connecticut already moved to restrict intoxicating hemp products. Louisiana may vote this week on a bill to outright ban hemp products with any amount of THC. And Missouri's Attorney General launched an investigation last month into intoxicating hemp products. On Capitol Hill, the main question with a House markup of the Farm Bill looming on Thursday is whether House Agricultural Committee Republicans have enough support on their own caucuses to bring an amendment that would either put more guardrails around hemp products or prohibit them from having any amount of THC. Representative Randy Fensta, Republican from Iowa, told Politico last week that they are, in quotes, on the path of closing the loophole, he said. But Representative Dusty Johnson and David Rouser both declined to talk about a potential amendment addressing the issue as of last Thursday. LaMaffa, a stronger supporter of closing the loophole, was not even sure as of last Wednesday which lawmaker, if any, would be introducing an amendment. In quotes, he said, I'd be very inclined to carry or support a refinement of that, LaMaffa said. Kentucky Republicans Representative Jim Comer and Mitch McConnell took the lead on legalizing hemp. McConnell has remained a champion of industrial hemp products, proudly supporting a hemp fiber mask during the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic. In a quote, by recognizing the difference in statute between hemp and its illicit cousin, we can remove much of the confusion facing farmers, producers, and state agencies, McConnell said on the floor of the Senate in 2018 when he introduced hemp legalization legislation. McConnell's office declined to comment for this story. Of course they did. The opposite, however, has happened. Post-legalization, the market for hemp, rope, fabric, and other non-ingestible products was slow to develop. Even sales of CBD products were stymied by a lack of federal regulations, leading many national regulators or retailers to steer clear of those products. Eventually, intoxicating hemp derivatives such as Delta-8 THC and Delta-10 THC became popular. Hemp companies also found it was possible to get enough Delta-9 THC into a beverage or edible to have psychoactive effects without breaking the guidelines of the 2018 Farm Bill. Intoxicating products, while a boon for the hemp industry's economic outlook, challenged struggling state legal marijuana industries. The cheaper cost and greater availability of intoxicating hemp-infused products made them a potent rival of the cannabis industry in many states. Hemp products are not subject to the same stringent regulations and high taxes as marijuana products in many states where both are legal. And as they've grown in popularity, they've also garnered greater scrutiny from anti-drug and family groups who raise concerns about intoxicating products getting into the hands of kids. It's always what about the children? In a quote, FDA's refusal to issue regulations on CBD products has effectively turned hemp and cannabis companies against each other when we should be working towards some same purposes. Jim Hagedorn, the co-founder of Cornbread Hemp, a Kentucky-based hemp company. The U.S. Cannabis Council, whose members include many of the country's largest marijuana companies, sent a letter to key lawmakers last month warning of a national crisis if lawmakers don't crack down on intoxicating hemp products. The Midwest Hemp Council sent its own letter to Congress warning the dire consequences for farmers if the definition of hemp is altered in the Farm Bill. Now, conservative Republicans and some cannabis companies are ironic bedfellows on Capitol Hill, both wanting the loophole closed for very different reasons. LaMaffa, for example, tells Politico he hates cannabis, and yet in this case, he has the same policy position as many state legal marijuana companies. Hemp groups are asking for a third approach, more regulations like testing and limiting purchases to consumers over 21, but the loophole stays open. In a quote, there are certain ways of going about it that could shut down the whole industry, and there are others that would only shut down parts of the industry, said U.S. Hemp Roundtable General Counsel Jonathan Miller, adding that none of the proposals he's heard of on Capitol Hill are acceptable. The toothpaste is out of the tube, he added. Even the cannabis industry is divided on whether to close the loophole. Curaleaf, America's largest cannabis company in terms of revenue, is launching a line of beverages with a law, but intoxicating for most people. Amount of Delta-9 THC. Curaleaf CEO Boris Johnson told Politico the beverages will have no more than 5 milligrams of THC and are made fully within the guidelines of the Farm Bill. Curaleaf is a member of the USCC, but does not align with the trade group on the closing of the loophole. loophole. In a quote, "We would prefer that it be one regulatory framework for all cannabinoids," Jordan said. We're at that point in time right now with the hemp industry where there needs to be some rules put around what you can and can't put into these products, he says. Cody Strauss, founder and CEO of Humboldt County cannabis brand Northern Emeralds, doesn't want the entire loophole closed. Northern Emeralds sells marijuana products in California, but is also entering into a licensing deal that would allow a hemp-based dispensary to open under their brand name in Austin, Texas, where marijuana products are not legal. Strauss thinks California should strongly regulate intoxicating hemp products that are sold in the state. He does not, however, support federal regulations that could limit intoxicating hemp products in states where marijuana is not legal, and that could restrict the ability of California producers to cultivate and export hemp out of the state to places such as Texas. In a quote, "Everyone's talking about this as though it was a mistake that needs to be corrected," Strauss said. "I think it was a mistake that was correct." In an opinion shared by Oregon Senator Ron Wyden, a Democrat and a friend of mine, while not on the Senate Agriculture Committee, Wyden is a senior member of the Senate who represents a state with large hemp and cannabis industries. That means his opinion on this carries weight. Wyden wants more regulation from the FDA on things like packaging and age limits, his office shared with Politico, and he does not support closing the loophole and says it would be a step backwards to criminalization. In a quote, he says, "If we've learned one lesson from the failed war on drugs," Wyden said, "recriminalizing these products won't make communities safer or keep the products out of the hands of kids." As the House Agriculture Committee prepares for its Thursday markup, lawmakers are still mulling whether or not to introduce an amendment that would close this loophole and exactly how far that amendment would go. A deciding factor could be support from fellow Republicans, some of whom have already come out against it. And in a quote, final quote, "I don't think the federal government should be involved in this discussion," says Representative Derek Van Orden, a Republican from Wisconsin, told Politico last week. Well, you guys, seems like some interesting things are going to be going up in regards with the Farm Bill, and it seems like there's interesting lines being drawn in the sand amongst members on Capitol Hill, as well as members in the cannabis industry, and I am just going to follow along and munch on some popcorn that is not hemp-based or cannabis derived, but nonetheless, This is Jason Beck for the High at 9 News Hour. What do y'all have to say about this?
Of course, Curaleaf did.
Right?
I mean, of course they did. And like what we're going to do as an industry is we're always going to find a loophole, right? So like we find a loophole, they close the loophole. It's just like a never ending thing. And the only people who can really keep drugs out of the hands of kids and whose job it is to do so is their parents.
Right? I agree with that 100%.
I mean, I can't believe I'm about to agree with Curaleaf, but there definitely should be one regulatory framework. We're having this discussion. We're talking about this article when the irony that on the top banner of our YouTube page is a hemp-derived cannabinoid gummy company and product company that's selling, legal intoxicating THC products. Look, this is foul. This is foul. We've already invested so much, and look what's happening state to state. And then there's all these other companies and these people with, they have IP around these, non-Delta 9 THC products like HHC and Delta 8, that they're glad that this is happening because their IP is king and they can sell as much product as they want. And if this continues to be bifurcated as it is, it's just going to harm all of us, and it's not going to bring this unity together. It's going to just drive us more farther apart, and it's going to increase the turmoil, and it's going to increase the legal kind of positions of a lot of these companies, and we're going to see a lot more lawsuits. And in the end of the day, the only people that are going to win is lawyers. Love you, Dale, but you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, Armada Law practice coming in for the win.
Right?
That's right. That's right. Man, what do you think about this, Dale?
Everybody wins when the family feuds.
That's right.
The problem started when they tried to separate this plant by what they thought was the intoxicating nature of it. And it turns out policymakers are divorced from science, because if your objective is to keep intoxicating products away from minors, and they fucked this up royally from the jump.
Yep.
Because THC is not the only intoxicating naturally occurring. Okay? And you can produce these synthetic cannabinoids that are intoxicating. We've seen them, THC 0 and all the other bullshit that goes into this. And for lawyers, this is just a Full Employment Act. For people out there wanting to use a cannabis product, you don't know what the hell to do here. And I can guarantee you in high school and junior high school, kids are smoking Delta 8. So if your goal is to keep intoxicating things away from kids, policymakers have rectal myopia here. And now they want to fight about things that should never have been defined the way they were defined, because I don't think you can control this now like the toothpaste is out of the tube. But they don't even have a unified goal. What we're trying to protect here is it kids, and kids from what? Okay, is it athletes or athletes from what? Okay, is it women or women from what? I mean, pick something here and tell us what you're trying. What is your goal? So we can measure the metrics. Are we achieving it? And if not, fuck this course and let's start this all over again. That's not how it's ever going to work, because you bring lawyers into it, and we look for the loopholes, and we're paid to look for this and fight your ass every step of the way. In the meantime, make some money doing this, okay?
Yeah, no, it's correct. The definitions are someone Ben Robbins' definition, and that's right. The problem is who's creating the definition. Who are the stakeholders that have a voice in that determination? This is it's beliefs. It's these types of people. So, get with it, guys. It's already too late. But if maybe there's a last ditch effort here, I don't know. But obviously, I'm coming from a place of abundance whenever I speak. So you already know. Together, let's get together. Let's produce some kind of value within the community, within the industry. Let's go really substantially make an effort to work with the lawmakers and to figure out the future. If we don't, we're pulled into what they decide, and we've already seen how that works out for us. So it's not going to be a good thing. I don't know. This is a touchy subject. It's a hot button issue for Saman Razani. That's the show.
Fair enough. I feel like we're gonna just keep on watching this. Do you have any thoughts on this, Rico, before we move on?
Yeah, man. Follow the science. How about that, America?
Follow the science. Well, the thing about it is this. I'm just really glad that Senator Wyden has taken the position that he has taken, because his voice carries a lot of weight in this conversation, way more than Doug LaMotha in regards to. So I am willing to put money on the fact that there are going to be no changes to the hemp farm bill in regards with the intoxicating substances when they come out with this new draft in September.
I really don't think that you can backtrack but so much, for these hemp guys, man. Like, they're making a lot of money.
Yeah.
So you got to find some way to make it work.
Exactly.
Personally, I think it should be regulated, or as the rest of the cannabis industry on the THC side, or just deregulate everything.
Saman, can you hit mute for a second? Where is that snow coming in from?
Is that the streets of Medellin?
Oh, maybe. I doubt it's the streets of Medellin, but nonetheless, I don't know.
Get your mirror out in the straw. Huh?
Fair.
I know. It may be the streets of Medellin.
It may be. Lots of things happen in the streets of Medellin, but nonetheless, we're going to keep this.
Pablo.
Yes, we are going to keep this train rolling. We're going to roll right on into Mr. Dale Schafer. He's the attorney at law over here on the show today. That's right. He's the founder of Armada Law, and at one point in time, he did some time for a cannabis crime. Here to set the narrative straight. That's right. Is none other than attorney Dale Schafer.
Good morning, everybody. Remind you once again, I'm off my meds and I'm unsupervised, so you don't know what you're going to get of me.
Oh, shit.
My case today comes out of Michigan, and it involves a scenario I've been in multiple times, but I've never seen the complaint that we're dealing with here. So what I want to back up and cover here is that it's pretty common when you go into a cannabis project that you're looking for where you can actually legally go into cannabis in a state. Michigan, I must tell you, I didn't read Michigan's cannabis law. I didn't read their zoning law, but I read the complaint, and I'm inferring some things here. And Michigan passed a statewide law, and it allowed local jurisdictions to opt in. And when you opt in, one of the things you have to do is look around your jurisdiction for zones where you might want a cannabis business to be. Pretty common. Okay. It's also pretty common that they start the train down the tracks and realize, holy shit, we need to stop this and rethink some things. So you go into a period of moratorium. And that's what happened here. This is the city of Monroe, and we have a group that's an LLC that went out and took the local zoning announcements they made in Monroe, went looking for some property that they thought would be a good location for a dispensary. Okay. They made an application and they went into a moratorium period. During the moratorium period, nothing would happen, which is pretty common. I've had this happen to a lot of my clients. When the moratorium was lifted, about a month later, this company is claiming that the city gave them approval to go forward with their project. Okay. Now, I think that's a sticking point right there, because these are discretionary permits and there are conditions attached to them. And there was a condition that you had to provide more parking. So this company went out and bought some more property, just took the building down, made parking. And then at some meeting, there was a question about who was the applicant for this dispensary license. And that's when a new group popped up. And I can't remember their name. Anyway, let me make sure I don't get this wrong here. They're Quality Roots, okay. And what Quality Roots was they're supposed to be the tenant that was actually going to run the dispensary. Here's where things get a little confusing for me. Because in California, the company that's going to run the dispensary has to apply for the license. And what this company that's suing the city is claiming, oh no, we applied for the license. And this is where I get real confused and the complaint doesn't figure this out for me. Because they bought property with the intent that they were going to have a tenant who was going to be a dispensary. And the city said, no, it's the tenant who gets the license. And this started a pissing match here. And apparently the time is run. And they're not going to let them renew this application. So they went to federal court and they sued, claiming that this regulatory change violated the state zoning law. I didn't read the zoning law, so I don't know, maybe it did, but I can't tell from the complaint what part of it violated. The other one that's interesting is they're claiming that there was an inverse condemnation here under the federal Fifth Amendment public taking clause, okay? Now, I haven't really looked at this since law school. I went back and did some research, and it turns out that our United States Supreme Court has allowed regulatory changes to amount to a taking of property, but you can seek compensation through what they call inverse condemnation here. Now, it grows out of a California case where a property owner was forced by statute to allow union organizers on their property, and they sued, and the Supreme Court said, that's a property right that you took from that landowner, because he had the right to preclude people from coming on his property. And when they allowed that as an inverse condemnation taking of property for that nonsense, you go, okay, all bets are off the table as to how far this can go. I did some preliminary research, and I don't know that I can find an answer here. What these people are claiming is that they had a right to have marijuana operation in this property, and that the local jurisdiction took that right away from them. Well, I'm confused because everyone I've ever done, the state and the local jurisdiction tells you these are discretionary permits. They're good for 1 year. There's no vested property right in this. And if you think there is, pound some sand, okay? Now, I don't know what Michigan's rules specifically say, because in California, you can do a shared use facility where you can have different tenants in, and you have a property right for a cannabis shared use facility. I don't get the feeling that's what we're talking about here. And when I read this complaint, my first thought was, I would go in and ask that file a demur, because I don't understand what the hell you're talking about. It's so vague and ambiguous. But for the broader cannabis industry, you should be mindful of what inverse condemnation is. You should understand what local zoning rules are, what local government rules are about changing the rules of the game midstream. Okay? And also understand that if you don't have a vested property right, government can change the rules along the way, and you don't have a lot you can say about it. So I'm going to throw this back at all of you for some of your experience and some input about where you think this might be going. This is your Tio Loco. Back at you, folks.
Tio Loco. Yeah, actually, Dale, I think it's actually a MSA, a Master Services Agreement, that allows other businesses to kind of participate under one license that they don't own. I think the major issue with that is, I think the issue, like, downstream is that it's product liability, right? It's like the person that owns a license has to do the recalls, has to do whatever. If somebody else is operating under their license, under the auspice of their license, and not under the control of their management or whatever, then there's always a lot of things that can arise, right? So, but from the perspective of these guys trying to like build a business, get the license, and then lease the license and the building and try to maximize their investment. I mean, look, if everyone could do that, it'd be a totally different game. But obviously the government, the state governments wants to stick this on someone's back in case something goes wrong. They want to burn someone at the stake. So if it's not the building owner, everyone's pointing the fingers going, no, it's this guy. And, no, the tenant is saying, no, the business owner is the tenant or the landlord and the building owner, then it's going to be just a shit show. It's going to be a total clusterfuck. So I think that I've never seen a case where that was allowed in any municipality, in any state. I've seen master services agreement. I think that's a common practice in a lot of places. But again, it's about the product liability, and I think those things are handled in those agreements. So that's just my take on it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've done a lot of MSAs, and the person who holds a license then it's a management services agreement. But that people who run the MSA have to come in and be registered and pass live scans and things like that because they manage and control here in California. When I read this, Mom, this is the problem I had. I couldn't figure out what they were trying to say. So in our firm, if this was to land in our firm, we would research some of this and we'd go into court and say, I don't know what the hell you're talking about here. You need to clarify what you mean by you have these rights or there was a zoning violation. Mm-hmm. It's totally unclear right now. But the inverse condemnation issue is one that I think that has been solved in my experience by having these be discretionary 1-year permits. You don't really get a vested property right in.
Oh yeah, definitely not. I have a friend that's been was doing a project for 4 years or something under his CUP in a municipality, and it's just that's just what it is. They're going to have to keep renewing, and I think the CUPs, and I think if the municipality elects to go with the CUP other than any other process laid out in their ordinance, then the CUP has a lot of other state requirements that are put on them. Like in California, it's CEQA compliance and all that stuff. So you have to have you have to do the NOEs, the notice of exemptions, and all those, which are just paperwork. It's just annoying shit that you have to do, right? So, but if the cities don't elect to do a CUP process, then it's just at the discretion of how the city council or whatever sees fit to allow these business owners to get their license, be approved through their building permit process or whatever with the planning department and their building department. So I don't know. I mean, Michigan, I haven't done enough work in Michigan to really speak educated on what's happening there directly, but I can speak to my experience in most other states, and it's pretty common. It's a very ubiquitous process everywhere.
So I want to hear what Jenny Beth has to say about this, because she deals with a lot of licensing and whatnot, and we haven't heard much from her today. What do you think about this, Jenny?
I mean, honestly, this is another baseless corporate litigation in cannabis, right? So I think when we're talking about management service agreements, those are awesome and can be awesome, but they can also be used to kind of circumvent the requirements to actually obtain a license, right? Like if I know that I'm never going to qualify for this license, or I have a black market brand that I want to bring into the legal market, I want to use your facility. I'm going to draw up a management services agreement, right? So I think the buck doesn't stop there. Different municipalities in different states decide when you sign that license as the licensed owner, you're taking responsibility and onus for all the actions of everyone in that facility, whether you employ them or whatever. You might as well have done it with your own hands. So I think, there's a lot of confusion here. And Dale, I totally don't understand what they're even arguing about right now either and what the core complaint is. So I completely agree with you. This is kind of interesting from somebody who has been and is possibly still in a bullshit litigation over a management services agreement. So I think it'll be interesting to watch this play out, and hopefully they kind of throw this out. So we'll see.
Interesting. Rico, any thoughts? You with us, Rico? Are you?
Near you.
I think you are muted.
Yeah, the lawsuit that got struck down by the Michigan Supreme Court, saying that they really couldn't sue to a certain extent because it's federally illegal. Does that cast like a large shadow on all these other attempts?
Well, it certainly could.
And
this is the complaint, Rico. And at this stage, this is what they're claiming happened. We haven't heard what the city or even the state might have to say about that, or other parties that come in, or this tenant, what they might have to say. In federal court, it always concerns me that they could throw up, this is illegal. You can't form contracts that violate the law. And so I'd be concerned running to federal court. I'd be in the state court. But this is an ambiguous complaint at best. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure I understand what they're complaining about. But we've all had some experience with governmental entities changing their mind or not giving you that permit, what your options are, what you can do at that point. I mean, the lawyers love you to come see them because we take retainers and we get paid to mentally masturbate about this kind of shit. But, be careful about going out and suing where it's going to cost you a lot of money unless you really, get a couple of opinions from the lawyers about whether your chances of winning are more than a snowball's chance in hell before you start throwing a lot of money at these things.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. And on that, we're going to go to a commercial. We're going to be right back. The Control Tower from Highly Educated has perfected the dab. Utilizing the concept of thin film evaporation, you can waste none of it and taste all of it. The micro texture of the SE pillar increases nucleation at elevated temperatures. And with the tower propelling at 2,600 RPMs, it's certainly the most efficient dab experience to date. The Control Tower from Highly Educated. All right, you guys, stop whatever you're doing. Make sure that you hit that like button. I know we'll appreciate it, you'll appreciate it, and YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover on today's show will be up on our website a little bit later today. I'm Jason Beck, and this is Smoky Vanilla. And if you want to feel as good as I look, then you need to get a stretch and smoke with Smoky Vanilla.
Hi, I'm Smoky Vanilla. I have my bachelor's degree in kinesiology, and I'm a sports massage therapist and stretch coach. I focus mostly on individuals that are in sport with chronic pain or injury. I love to intuitively create and customize a session based on the individual that I'm working with. We'll go over a few postural assessments, work together to create a wellness journey based on the health history, past injuries, or anything still affecting you today. And we'll get you back on your feet right away with less pain.
We're about to stretch, and then we're gonna smoke, because we're gonna get on our stretch and smoke. If you want to feel as good as I look, then you need to come on down and get a stretch and smoke with none other than Smoky Vanilla. And we are back, you guys. You with us, Rico?
So how are you guys?
It is my absolute pleasure to announce our next correspondent and new addition to the team, adding a little more coffee to the cream on stage. A well-known and respected cannabis executive, visionary behind Kind Cannabis Consulting and Justice Serve 501c3, an absolute industry boss with Southern Georgia roots who's built an unrivaled reputation in California and beyond. Speaking of beyond, she's joining us today from Medellin, Colombia. It's my absolute honor to introduce Jenny Beth Dills. Give it up, y'all.
That was a pretty good intro.
Damn, Rico. That was
man.
With some spec on my name. Hello. That was the best intro I think I've ever gotten, so that's pretty amazing. And thanks for having me. Jason called me first thing this morning, so I have not read my story more than twice, but it's long, so I apologize, but it's important. It's definitely something that we all should be able to opine on pretty deeply here. Okay, so top U.S. drug agency, a notable holdout in Biden's push to loosen federal marijuana restrictions. In an isolated part of the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration headquarters, known as the 12th floor bubble, Chief Ann Milgram made an unusual request of top deputies summoned in March for what she called the marijuana meeting. Nobody could take notes. Over the next half hour, she broke the news that the Biden administration would soon be issuing a long-awaited order reclassifying pot as a less dangerous drug, a major hurdle toward federal legalization that the DEA has long resisted. And Milgram went on to reveal another twist. According to two people familiar with the private meeting who spoke to the Associated Press on condition of anonymity, that the process normally steered by the DEA had been taken over by the U.S. Justice Department, and the action would not be signed by her, but by Attorney General Merrick Garland. Milgram didn't give aides a reason for the unprecedented omission, and neither she nor the DEA has explained since. But it unfolded this past week exactly as laid out in that meeting 2 months ago, with the most significant drug policy change in 50 years launched without the support of the nation's premier narcotics agency. DEA has not yet made a determination as to its views of the appropriate schedule for marijuana, reads a sentence tucked 13 pages into Garland's 92-page order last Thursday, outlining the Biden administration proposal to shift pot from its current Schedule 1 alongside heroin and LSD to the less tightly regulated Schedule 3 with such drugs as ketamine and some anabolic steroids. Internal records accompanying the order indicate the DEA sent a memo to the Justice Department in late January, seeking additional scientific input to determine whether marijuana has accepted medicinal use, a key requirement for reclassification, but those concerns were overruled by Justice Department's attorneys who deemed the DEA's criteria impermissibly narrow. Several current and former DEA officials told the AP they believe politics may be at play, imagine, contending the Justice Department is moving forward with the marijuana reclassification because President Joe Biden wants to use the issue to woo voters in his re-election campaign. Imagine. And wasn't willing to give the DEA time for more studies that likely would have dragged beyond Election Day. Those officials also noted that while the Controlled Substances Act grants the Attorney General responsibility for regulating the sale of dangerous drugs, federal law still delegates the authority to classify drugs to the DEA administrator. It's crystal clear to me that the Justice Department hijacked the rescheduling process, placing politics above public safety, said Derek Maltz, a retired agent who once headed the DEA's Special Operations Division. If there's scientific evidence to support this decision, then so be it, but you've got to let the scientists evaluate it. Former DEA Administrator Tim Shea said the striking absence of Milgram's sign-off suggests she was backing the DEA professionals. If she had supported it, she would have signed it and sent it in, said Shea, who served in the Trump administration. DEA was opposed to this, and the politics entered and overruled them. It's demoralizing. Everybody from the agents in the streets to the leadership in the DEA knows the dangers this brings. The White House did not respond to a request for comment, but Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre previously said Biden was committed to fulfilling a 2020 campaign promise. He said no person, no American who possesses marijuana should go to jail. It is affecting communities across the country, including communities of color. That's the vote he's trying to buy. Justice Department attorneys defended Garland's decision to proceed without Milgram backing, saying in a separate memo that the action was prompted by sharply different views between DEA and the Department of Health and Human Services. The HHS last year recommended reclassifying marijuana, deeming it less risky to public health than cocaine, heroin, and oxycodone, and effective in treating anorexia, pain, and other ailments. HHS concluded in part that although abuse of marijuana produces clear evidence of a risk to public health, that risk is relatively lower than that posed by other drugs. The DEA balked at those findings, and Garland's order cites at least 10 times when the drug agency requested additional information before blessing HHS's medical findings. It did not respond to AP questions seeking for further comment. The Justice Department didn't comment on internal differences, but in a statement said that the proposal was consistent with scientific and medical determinations of HHS. The department added it was legally required to follow HHS's scientific and medical findings that marijuana should be reclassified, at least until the start of the rulemaking process. The dissonance within the federal government underscores the continuing debate over those risks posed by cannabis, even as 38 states have legalized medical marijuana and 24 have legalized its recreational use. All the while, more voters, 70% of adults, according to a Gallup poll last fall, support legalization, the highest level yet recorded by the polling firm. The argument that marijuana is as dangerous as fentanyl, cocaine, and meth is laughable, said Matthew Seaborn, a Houston-based attorney who writes a newsletter on cannabis regulation. The DEA isn't where most Americans are. They're standing on the wrong side of history. But even HHS, we're going to go back. Jason, you only sent me part of it.
No, I didn't. That's not true.
I know, I had to get down to it. Big buddy. No, I lost my place.
Oh, geez.
I know, I had to open back up. Not bad, dude.
Just blame it that you're on south of the equator.
I'm blaming it on south of the equator. Got it. Here we go. The DEA isn't where most Americans are. They're standing on the wrong side of history. But even HHS, National Institute on Drug Abuse, has come out with statements in apparent conflict with HHS's recommendation to reclassify pot, saying the potency of marijuana has been steadily increasing over the years, resulting in higher numbers of emergency room visits to treat a wide range of physical and mental effects, from breathing problems and mental impairment to hallucinations and paranoia. Where that weed at? Whether smoking or otherwise, consuming marijuana has therapeutic benefits that outweigh its health risks is still an open question that science has not resolved. Nora Volko, a neuroscientist who leads NIDA, is currently quoted as saying on the Institute's website. An NIDA spokesperson said rescheduling would facilitate research more into the drug. The NIDA last performed a medical evaluation of marijuana in 2015, a year before the Obama administration's DEA rejected a similar request to reschedule the drug. This time, after Biden ordered a review of the drug status in 2022, HHS adopted new criteria to reach its rescheduling conclusion, taking into account the states that have already legalized medical marijuana. The rescheduling move, first reported by the AP last month, faces a potentially lengthy process. The DEA, which must show significant deference to HHS's medical determinations, according to Justice Department attorneys, will now take public comment on the rescheduling plan before a review by an administrative judge and the publishing of a final rule. Federal prosecutions involving marijuana are already exceedingly rare, but a Schedule III classification would still make pot a controlled substance subject to rules and regulations. For her part, Milgram has said little about her stance on marijuana and was not asked about it during her confirmation. When she took the helm of the agency in 2021, she privately told colleagues she considered the legalization debate a distraction from far more serious fentanyl crisis, according to one of the people who spoke to the AP. Milgram is known for a progressive, data-driven approach to law enforcement, dating to her days as the Democratic Attorney General of New Jersey, when the state's governor, a close ally, signed a bill in 2010 making the state the 14th to make marijuana legal for medical purposes. She said only that the legislation was workable. This past week, she was similarly opaque in a 3-sentence announcement to DEA employees obtained by the AP. As required, she wrote, "The DEA will post this notice and all attachments on our website." Jason, I want to hear what you think about this little political stunt.
I love this. I love this thing. I love all of this. Okay, and I was actually typing something for the chat that is basically exactly how I feel, and it's but basically. This is why I love this so much, is that they got everybody all excited about this Schedule III, and it's going to move forward, and then you have the DEA, the chief, saying, "Hey, you know what? I didn't sign off on that. I'm not going to do this. I'm not feeling this." And so I think that she is setting it up so then that way it can actually not happen as far as getting rescheduled and remain as a Schedule 1 drug. And they're going to use the excuse that it won't make it through the 5-question process that HHS has in regards. So basically, you have to be able to reduplicate it perfectly every time, and that's part of their criteria. And so this is going to give them the whole scapegoat to just drop the whole thing and leave it as Schedule 1, which I hope they do.
I agree, and I think it's also going to say, "Oh no, Biden failed this time, but he's going to pass it through. So let's give him another time."
We have more work to do.
Guys, please don't.
We have more work to do. The work isn't done yet.
I freed no one, but I'm doing it.
Exactly.
I promise.
The DEA is going to be the turd in the punch bowl here, and they have been all along. When I read the Justice Department's attorney's evaluation of this, they were clear that HHS has their part in this. But once they turn this over to the DEA does not have to follow any of the findings of HHS.
Exactly.
Which tells me that we're right back into that clusterfuck we've been in since 1971 or whatever it was they got set up, is that the administrative law routine here, this runaround, is going to follow the same track. We're going to force you to take us to court at every step of the way. And in the final analysis, everyone's going to give up and walk away from this because the DEA doesn't want this to happen. The problem when you have cops in charge of drugs, you don't know what they're doing.
Yep.
Ask them some of their opinions, but don't put them in policy-making positions. And this is just going to be a continuing runaround. And the trap is going to just, eat their cowbell. This is great, guys. This is great.
Yeah. Exactly. No. Exactly. Fair enough. Fair.
I think the DEA is like scrambling for a reason to even exist.
Really?
Yeah.
Where did Saman drop?
I think the lone positive, if y'all Republicans, I can say y'all now because we got two, outwardly spoken.
Fiscal conservative, social moderate.
Yeah.
Take back control is getting rid of these agencies, defunding some of these agencies. It starts with the DEA.
Exactly.
I mean, I think this is just also interesting. And I think a lot of you guys did your little dances and crying on Instagram posts way too soon, huh? Because I don't want to see a reschedule. I really do want this to fail. And I think that'd be incredible. I want to see a full deschedule because I don't know if you guys are aware, but who do you have to buy Vicodin and ketamine from? Because it's not MedMen. So maybe let's think about voting our own best interest and some of the implications that could come with some of these policies.
Exactly.
Because we are very well known for following the shiny object. Oh, they're going to do something with cannabis. Oh, they're going to do something with this social policy. No, the fuck they're not. And if you're voting for it, you don't even understand totally how to vote your own best interest. So listen, stop listening to people who are idiots and are just loud. The internet has given way too many people a voice. And I'm sorry not to be an asshole, but some people should shut up.
Fair enough. And on that, it looks like we lost Saman. But Saman's story, because it's an important story. Change to Minnesota's marijuana laws makes all military veterans eligible for social equity. And so, if you want to check that out. That'll be up on our website later this afternoon. But I have one last story for you guys. You're gonna love this.
Oh,
you're gonna love this because this ties right on in with your story, Jenny.
Let's go.
Let's make sure that you mark your calendars today, you guys, because it's Wednesday, May 22nd. Because the clock starts today as the DEA publishes marijuana rescheduling proposal, you guys. The U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration on Tuesday published its former proposal to reclassify marijuana as a less dangerous substance under federal law. The appearance in the Federal Register of Marijuana's proposed shift to a Schedule 3 controlled substance from Schedule 1, the most significant shift in national marijuana law since 1970, also launches a 62-day public comment period, one of the required steps in the formal federal rulemaking process. They are now accepting public comments. The Department of Justice will accept comments from the public until, mark this date on your calendar, July 22nd, according to Tuesday's notice. Though June 20th, the DOJ will entertain requests for a public hearing before an administrative law judge, according to Tuesday's notice. If the DEA administrator Ann Milligram elects to hold such a hearing, further notice will appear in the Federal Register. Tuesday's notice does not indicate how long the DOJ or DEA might ponder the public comments before issuing a rule. I'm willing to guess it's not going to be a long period of time, but nonetheless, observers of the federal rulemaking process have speculated that a final rescheduling rule could appear as soon as September or October. And a little bit of the rescheduling background. The ongoing process began back in October of 2022 when President Joe Biden issued an executive order directing cabinet-level agencies to expeditiously review the failed policy of classifying marijuana as a more dangerous than fentanyl. In August 2023, after considering information including data about medical marijuana use submitted by states with legal cannabis programs, the Department of Health and Human Services found that marijuana has a currently accepted use and recommended it be reclassified as a Schedule III drug. That category includes drugs such as ambiotic steroids, ketamine, and Tylenol with codeine. Such drugs are available legally only with a prescription, which raises questions about how the federal government might regulate the $36 billion state legal marijuana industry in the United States. In a quote, if the transfer to Schedule III is finalized, the regulatory controls applicable to a Schedule III controlled substance would apply as appropriate, along with existing marijuana-specific requirements and any additional controls that might be implemented, including those that might be implemented to meet U.S. treaty obligations, the DEA wrote in its Tuesday notice. However, Schedule III drugs are not subject to Internal Revenue Service Code Section 280E, which forbids plant-touching marijuana businesses from taking certain deductions on their federal tax returns. Other sought-after reforms, such as marijuana banking protections or allowance for plant-touching businesses to list on the U.S.-based major stock exchanges, would require actions from Congress, you guys. Man, just more and more and more and more and more. What do y'all have to say about this?
Where are we going to be able to access?
This is nonsense.
We're going to be able to access public comments, man.
The public comments.
About all the money that we're.
Yeah, right.
Anything to not talk about all the money we're throwing away on wars that have nothing to do with us, or any other decisions the administration are making that actually affect us, that are actually going to go through, or maybe any of the things that they're hiding these bills that are, not the shiny portion that we're focusing on because we're like attention span of baby squirrels. So, and I made you $4.99, Jason.
Oh, hold on. I was about to get into that. I was about to thank the suitor of music. It says the chat trolls would love to welcome Jenny to the show. And so, Jenny, just so you know, that is from the Troll Patrol out there in the chat.
Shout out to the Troll Patrol. Shout out to Malik, always showing love.
Yes. Much love, Malik. Thank you very much. The suitor of music. Yes. Man, oh man, you guys, this story, bro. This story is
DEA is not going to cooperate.
No, they're not.
Anything here.
They're not.
And I can tell you, the last story I covered with them on the ayahuasca, they sat on a permit application for 5 fucking years and never issued any response. Okay, so if you apply for them for a Schedule III license, they can sit on it with their thumb up their ass for years and never respond. And they're never going to give people with a criminal record like me or Luke any of these. You're not going to get no social equity.
Yep.
You're going to have to come in armed to the teeth with people that are scientists and a full-on corporation trying to produce this shit to even have a chance to get a license from the DEA. And even then, they're going to drag it out until you go broke. Stevie Wonder can see what's coming here.
Oh, man. Get it. Damn, Dale. Damn.
You're not wrong.
Me and the DEA don't like each other. They threw my ass in prison for 5 years, and I don't have a lot good to say about these son of a bitches. And they shouldn't be practicing medicine. Let me just tell you that.
I bet the secret to getting that license lies in Steve Angelo's pigtails.
Whoa.
Maybe.
Whoa.
Got a better chance than I do.
How long do you guys think? How long do you guys think until? How long do you guys think that the DEA will ponder the comments from the general public? I'm willing to bet about a week.
I don't even think that it's just the DEA that's going to hold this up. I mean, like, let's not ignore the portion where it has to go through a federal judge and be approved by that federal judge. The last time we had cannabis as medicinal value on the desk of a federal judge, he said that he could not deny the medical capabilities of cannabis because the children came forward and testified. Everything you see the change in these people's lives. But he also said that it was beyond him to be able to rule on this. Bullshit. You're a federal judge. This is federal policy. Judges don't want to rule on this. These are elected officials. These are people who are being paid by these agencies. They don't want to rule on this because nobody wants to be that guy. Mm-hmm. So I think we have a long battle ahead of us. Like, please put your pom-poms down because it's not time to celebrate yet.
Please put your pom-poms
down. It's administrative law, Jen. That's the problem. Since 1970, it's got thrown into administrative law runaround, and you can't even go in front of a real judge until you exhaust all the administrative remedies. And that's what the judge has said. I've been involved in these directly and peripherally, and you pull your hair out because you win the case, but the judge goes, "Oh, I agree with you." Francis Young said it's the safest medically active drug we know of. But I don't have the power before me right now to change this. So DEA, give them their application answer, and then they've got to file the next application and wait in line for 5 more years. It's nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, HHS put in the recommendation last August. It's damn near 9 months for them to have any movement on that. Like, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, this is the setup. This is the setup. This is the setup, you guys. This is how they're gonna, because they wanted the market to get propped up, build all this stock, because this cannabis stocks went like crazy when they announced that they were going to get moved to Schedule 3. They just shot up through the roof, and now they're trying to like keep their value by promoting the Schedule 3 all the time. But I'll tell you what, I bet you they're going to try to suppress this story as much as humanly possible because it's not going to be good for the shareholders in the cannabis stocks. Unless they're trying to go and short them all. Who knows? You know what I mean? I'm not a financial advisor.
I thought the pop in the stock market, I thought the last talking point that y'all had, Jason, the pop in the stock market was because people were confident Trump was coming back.
That's a different type of a market. I was referring to strictly cannabis stocks. But thank you so much, too, to Anna Lewis before we wrap up. She says,
hello.
Yes. She says with a super chat, she says, Jenny is a breath of fresh air with a bunch of hearts. Much needed addition to High at 9.
It's that Medellin.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. That Colombian Cascade.
Watch out, this group will grow on you, girl.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you all for joining us. Yet another episode of High 9 News. You can catch us live weekdays, 9 a.m. Pacific, high noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to our super fans showing love. Anna, Malik.
Yes.
To the music. And Anna Lewis in the place to be today, showing their love with their comments posted live on the big screen. Also to our live audience and online supporters catching us across all media platforms, tuning in each day to the headlines of chaos, also known as the developing cannabis industry. To our vetted correspondent team tuning in from all over, bringing us much needed variety of perspective and your respected opinions to the table. Our production team, Cloud Media Partners, our sponsors keep the lights on and AV struggles to a minimum. Even though I can't hear shit today, I still got love for the feathering in the background.
Yes. Well, no, it's Millie. It's Millie in the background. It's Millie in the background today. Yes.
Rico's just getting old. It's not your fault, Millie.
I know.
How dare you?
I know.
I am getting I got like 8 gray hairs now. Watch out.
That's why you were wearing the hat.
As always, Cannabis Stephen L. The reason why we have to read these stories every single day. Thank you, too. It has been Wednesday, May 22nd, 2024. The show's over. You've all been blessed with the top industry headlines. Hope it's enough for you to put in your pipe and smoke at least until tomorrow. My name is Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street, here for High at 9 News, the cannabis industry's #1 daily news show. And the big voice on campus today, the new edition, going to give it right back to you. leave the people with a good message to take home, to pack their bowl with? What you got, Jenny Beth? Take us out.
Please, please, please go do your own research and please understand what you're voting for so that you can vote your best interest. And also, please smoke better weed.
Smoke better weed.
Smoke weed every day.